All right, shalom, 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 my brother. How you doing? Uh,
Shalom.
all right, look like
Pick
we
up
made it,
the all is well. Yes,
huh?
sir.
Yeah, yeah,
The
look like we
landing
made
gear
it.
is lifted.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. Of course, today we've been having some internet problems, kind of going in and out, but we made it so far. So those of you that are here and joining us live, let's see who we got so far. I have my wife here. That we can, in case we go down, we'll never go out though, huh? If we go down, we can never go out. So just so far, so good. And so we just going to roll with the technologies of things and see what's going on. And okay, all right, we got a couple of them responding in the room today, and just praise Yah, giving him all the praise, the honor, and the glory. He's worthy. We're going to choose life. That's what we want to do. Choose life, and that's always good to do, and that's for sure. Choose life. If I had a choice, that's what I would choose. I definitely would choose life in that. So we want to adventure today. We're going to talk a little bit about. I use the title, okay, and of course I want to kind of lay this particular foundation of where we have a desire to go, and what we have a desire to do. One of the things is I want to relate what we would call today false advertising, right? So I want to relate that to our life in the things of the Father. And if the world understands that false advertising is not good, then anything that's false in that sense is not going to be good. And so we'll look at maybe a couple of scriptures as well. I think I'm trying to relate it to it. I'm trying to relate our lives and how we present ourselves to others. That's where I want to go. There's so many places you can go here. When you're thinking about false advertising, so you are presenting something that's really not there, and we're going to get, like I say, more into that as we begin to take this journey. But for sure, we want to realize that what false advertising is all about, right? We want to deal with that and kind of, like I said before, kind of build from that situation. We have a desire to build from there, and that's exactly what we're going to do. We're going to build in that area. We got those still coming in the room. Shout out, shalom, shalom, in that. And those of you, all of you are welcome in that. Uh, Even if you're not in the room, right? We may get some response of those of you that's in the room as well, maybe later on in as we go along here, thanking you for being here. It's always good. It's always good to know, to encourage one another, to know that, we're going in the same place, especially if you live like this, in that. So we dealing, and again, I always want to take one of the things that when Yeshua would always tell him that he would ask him, say, why do you speak to those in parables, right? And then we always want to get an understanding. So this is where I want to do when I pick this out. I am relating it, something that we can relate to, but I want to put it in our lives. Now, it can go in so many ways, and maybe we'll open up several avenues and several doors for this, but this is what we want to do. We want to do that, right? And so it is something here in the natural as well, something that we publish, something that we transmitting in that particular advertisement of what we are doing, right? And so in that though, I had outlined here, and you have the whole definition there, a false claim or a statement made. So it is a false claim, and then you're doing it intentionally, right? A false claim made, right? It's a claim that is false and that is made intentionally. It can be reckless, right? It can be a reckless situation, to promote. And what I want to do is think about ourselves, right? Trying to promote yourselves. Is that good, right? Trying to promote yourself instead of just being who you are. You are you, and you don't have to be anyone else but you. And so you the sum of different things, of different teaching, different things that you have came and all of that came in contact with, should I say, how you was brought up, and now you into the covenant, walking out the things of the Father. So when you come into the covenant of Yah, there is something that He desires for us, and not to be false. So we have to do all that we can do to make sure that we don't present ourselves something that we are not, number one. And then it should be what you see is what you get. That's what it should be, right? And so we don't want to mislead, right? And that could be a federal law there. It's even federal laws that you just can't mislead someone in your advertisement, right? You can't do that. Even if you make a mistake in that, you can't do that. But we have to be a people, and I'm relating it to a people. We have to be a people that understand that we have to present ourselves and begin to walk in the things that we understand in the things of the Father, right? So once we do that, then we are on a road of correction. And that's what I always like to put it in my terms is you in a road of a correction. And then that might be the harshness of it, but let's say alignment. Other words, the Father wants you to be the best you, right? He wants you to be the best you that you can be, right? And you are free to be you. You're always free to be you and not someone else. But I think from time to time, what we'll get hooked up in is in our false advertisement of something, right? And we don't want to do that. We don't want to promote that because we end up in a reckless situation, right? So what you see today, it should be, what we get. What we see always is the own what we get, right? So we want to know that. So when we look at our scriptures, we'll find that we don't want to lie. They have translated this or put this into English as well as lie in that. We don't want to do that. And the part that I wanted to focus on as well, I don't know if I'll be able to get over here. Yes. is that falsehood again. If we could see that, I forgot I had that falsehood right there, right? The falsehood, the deception of things, betraying someone. So anytime we present ourselves and not in the right spot, then we are betraying or betray someone else, right? And so it is with like even like with husband and wife when you are trying to say get present yourself to your husband or present yourself to your wife, you have to be clear and pure in what you are doing, right? You have to be clear in those things. And then you don't want to be deceiving, right? And so sometimes we don't try to deceive nobody because we are self deceived, right? So we don't want to do that. And when we have a false tongue, that's a lying tongue as well, right? And so it's the deception that's going on here. And so we don't want to do those things, especially it is wrongdoing. You are wrongfully doing something when you false advertise yourself. So many times we'll say that we are in the covenant, we love the Father, are we the servants of the Father? And I know that we all have to grow, but you have to grow in the truth of who you are. That's what you have to do, right? So you have to grow in that truth, right? We have to do that. And it is truth. So anytime they do it, and we know today that the many times they have different advertisement, man, it looks beautiful, until you get there, right? So with us, that's what it does not want to be. With us, it should not. We present one thing and then we do something else, right? We present one thing and then we do something else. So it should be what you see is what you get because we have to practice truthfulness. We have to be true. And that's how we begin to be free, right? Be set us free when we be truth in that, right? Truth setting us free. So that's what we want, right? We have to know that truth will set you free. The more that you operate in truth, the freer you will be. And so when you having like I say, relationship with others around you, with your neighbors, or whatever, if you be truthful with that, right, of who you are right now is what I'm dealing with, right? This is what you got. Now, many times we put on different things and do different things, but yet when I see you and when we begin to talk and we begin to have a relationship, that's who I want you to be, is you to be you. I want you to be you in that relationship, not deceitful, not lying, right? We don't want to do that. That's a place that we don't want to be. Psalms 119 and 29. Remove from me the way. So there's a way of falsehood, right? There's that way. And I don't want to present it in that way. So that's the reason sometimes when a couple, when someone, they say, I want to marry you, I want you to be my wife or my husband for life, you have to be truthful, right? You have to be truthful. You have to be upfront. You have to go into the deep of things, and begin to learn those things from one another. And so sometimes good questions would do that, you know. But you have to hate one in order to exalt the other. Other words, you have to hate falsehood, not to practice it, because falsehood sometimes can get you in different places. Different companies have, excuse me, put out different ideas, different pictures, and all of that. And then, like I said before, when you get there, it's not there. That's not the real thing, right? And so many times, what about the pictures that you should take? And that's the real thing, right? And so many times we today, and I'm just coming, I'll be vacillating back and forth, but today we have Photoshop, right? And so is that really you? Is that you? And we know how much that goes on, even in the videos and all of those things. And that's the things that someone I was reading, someone that FaceTime someone and they recorded the FaceTime, and then they called the person's friend or the people that knew them anyway, and presented to them like they couldn't hear. Right? They said, "I can't hear you," but they seen the person's face. So they was bringing about falsehood. They was trying to say what we would do today is scam. And so when we in the covenant with the Most High, we can't be people that are scheming, right? We can't do that. You have to be you and be truthful in order for you to grow. It says, "Favor me with your Torah," right? Favor me with that, right? And so it's a H there missing. It should be a H on there, but true enough, favor me, right? And that's what we need to do. That's what we need to understand, right? Favor me. So falsehood is those ways. So we don't want ways of falsehood, but we want to begin to build on that, right? We want to begin to build on that. So, my brother, I'm going to let you in early. You there somewhere? I think you used to be there. Are you still there? There you are. All right. Uh-oh. You moved it over a little bit. Let me. I couldn't hear you. Let me change to a. I can change to another one here. Is that okay? Can you hear? All right. All
Yes,
right. Good. Good.
I had kicked it.
That's all right. That's all right. That's how I
Oh,
go.
yes.
That's how I go.
Got these boats on the end of my ankle. But praise Yah, I'm so grateful for the point you had just made. I thought it was the H was missing as well, by the way.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah. Somebody stole that H, man.
but I like what you said in the beginning about being yourself. There is, I don't know why, but being authentic or even coming off as vulnerable has been looked as like people see that as a weakness. You
Hmm.
know, they see that as a weakness, and I'm thinking that knowing yourself and who you are is greater than portraying yourself as someone you're not. And it just seems like a lot of people can see through that. Some people can't, but I do think the falseness, like what you said, it can be seen through, especially when you have the truth. Because when you had that definition up there, I like what it said about making claims. That
Hmm.
right there just really struck a chord with me, and that's just something I think since accepting the Father's word and coming into the knowledge of His walk, not just this the deep secret of the word, but the knowledge of the walk, like how to do it. Like there is a such thing as His instructions, as right there what you said, His Torah, and it just seems like when you're exposed to the word or people who deal with the word, there's always this sense that you have to be more than who you are. I don't know why, but sometimes it's like I need to have a higher education that I don't actually have, or I need to have finances that I don't actually have, or I need to have this background to which I don't actually have, experience, expertise, of reputation. It's like, why do we need to portray ourselves that way? Why do we have to make claims? And I like how it said in there, even recklessly. I like that because a lot of it does come out to be, oh, hey, so and so is an expert in this, and they're not.
Hmm.
And that
Hmm.
really, it just really, I like what you said there about being yourself because like you said, and even as our master said, the truth will set you free. And I just think there's so much easier living, without a mask or without a sign that, saying that this thing is one way, but it's actually another. So when you had on there about the way of falseness, I was wondering, like, how could you identify the way? How could we identify a way of falseness
You saying? Let me see here.
from the scripture?
Right
You
here,
had a
the
good
the
scripture.
119. Okay,
Way of false.
119.
Yes, sir.
For a person in their life now, if you're identifying, when you get ready to present yourself in a way that is not true, right? So if you say that you was a high school graduate, but you put on the application, I had 2 years of college, right? That is not true, in that, right? So we don't live in that falsehood. So we don't present ourselves like that. So you be in the interview and they tell you, they asked you, have you ever done this before? And you say, oh, sure, yeah, I used to do this all the time, and yet you did not do it. That's falsehood. So when we are dealing with one another, we always have to put it on the table of who we are, and never present ourselves in such a way. We don't promote ourselves. We don't push ourselves to a place where we want others to perceive us in a certain way, right? So again, I go back to what you see is what you get, right? Now, I'm not, say what I'm about to say here is I'm not say against, the makeup or nothing like that. So we won't strike that up. But I want to use it for an example and an example only, right? If according to how much makeup you have on as a woman, and say that you want this person as your wife, you're going to have to see that person with no makeup on at all, right? That is the real person. When they begin to apply makeup, then you begin to have falsehood. Now listen to what I'm saying. Now I'm not say those you said he said we false. No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying, but what I am saying is that when you apply that, that is not you, right? The real you is without the makeup. And so that's who you are. And I'm only using it, for this particular way of the way that we present ourselves, right? And so sometimes we can present ourselves, our stories of our life can be magnified, right? For instance, I was in the military, but I didn't travel the world. But somebody could think that I was in the military and that means you went all over. Or I had a desire to go all over and I didn't. I tell somebody I've been to Germany, I've been to Korea, I've been here, I've been there. And I traveled here and traveled there. That's being falsehood. You presenting yourself in a manner that is not true. So it's very simple, not something real deep, but it's very very simple. And if I'm a person and maybe I can't work on cars, I shouldn't present myself like I'm the best mechanic in the world. Another word we can deal with, I came across when I was studying this, was about fluffing. How you fluff something. I didn't hit the button again, didn't I? How you fluff. Other words, it's something that is real not there. It's not really false advertisement, but we stretch. We say stretch the truth, but you can't stress truth, right? Because it drops off into a lie. You never can stretch the truth. Somewhere you have truth and then it falls into a lie, right? You may have a mixture, but you can't stretch, because once you stretch something, then it's not in this pure form, right? So we when we talk about falsehood, if it's something if it's a food I do not like, I don't like it. I don't like the taste or whatever. So that's how I present myself. I don't present myself in no other way just to get ahead of something. So say if somebody was having a dinner and that dinner, all of the top people, let's say at my job, was there, and they was having foods that I don't eat. So I'm not going to eat the food just to get in good with the rest of them. Like I say, I like this particular food, and I really don't like it. I really don't like it. So to present yourself, to be real, and not in falsehood, that's not, remove that. We want that to be removed. That needs to be removed. Those type of things need to be removed in that. But in order for it to be removed, in Psalms 119 and 163, it says, I have hated. You have to have a hatred for things that are not right in your life, right? And one of them could be falsehood, right? It's a falsehood. We need to know that. And in that, the whole, the Father just detests falsehood, you know. In order to do that, you have to grab on, though, to the love. To what love? To the love of Torah. You have to grab on to that. I have loved that. I have loved Torah, right? I loved it. So, in order for you to start being real with yourself, then you have to love Torah. Torah has to supersede everything else in your life. Everything. It has to trump everything, if you allow me to use it like that. It has to be your being. It has to be your breath. Torah has to be that. You have to love that. Because if not, then you'll love falsehood, right? But Torah has to be your life. That and nothing can stand against it, right? You have to love the word of Yah, and it rules your life, right? So that way you can operate in the truth. You don't have to stretch nothing because there's no stretching the truth, right? So this is something you have to have. So you have to hate and love. So you have to love the Torah. And that's very important. Did it help, my brother?
Yes, sir. Definitely. That really helps out a lot in the sense of a place to start. You know, if I'm looking for how to hate falsehood,
Mm-hmm.
then I
Mm-hmm.
can be, and how to identify it. I identify it, like you said, simply by just knowing what is true, and then I can begin to hate falsehood by doing the instruction of the Father. So that really helps me out a whole lot because I get it. It's like if well, since Yah's word is truth, I can't have truth in me and then be false at the same time.
Right,
It
right.
should be impossible, for me to have, one. If I love the Torah, then that means I can't have lies on my breath. I
Mm-hmm.
can't
Mm-hmm.
have falseness coming out my mouth because the Torah is going to, in my heart, is going to stop me from putting out lies. Not like a possession or anything.
Yeah, right,
I
right,
mean, in the
right,
sense
right,
of
right.
like if it's what's on my mind and what's in my heart, it should also be what comes out my mouth. So that's what's really good about what you said. I really got a clarity on that. Thank you.
Right. And even to I want to just add to that, bounce on that just a little bit, is I want to understand that in relationship, and dealing with people over the years, in relationship, sometimes is where the problem would come in at, we have to really realize I had to even I'll use me. I had to look at my life and realize before I gave my life totally to serve the Most High. I had a previous life that was full of falsehood, that was full of lies, that was all of these things. And so I had to readdress even my upbringing or my life because I added to my upbringing, and when I added to it, then I lied. Right? I added to it, then I lied. And so I had to realize what the lie is, because here's the danger of it is you will start believing what you're saying, right? So when you start presenting yourself in a certain way, then you'll start believing that. And so that falsehood becomes truth to you. Now, it becomes truth to you. It's not the truth, but it becomes truth to you, if you understand what I'm saying to you. It becomes truth to you. And so many times I had to say, you know what? I really didn't do that. I think, my wife could tell you the same thing. In my earlier years, even when I met her, whatever, man, I was like, I didn't do that, you know. And it took a minute. to realize that that's not my life. That's not my life. And so that's where we have to make sure that when we come into the covenant and then we're dealing with others and dealing with people, that we have to realize that I need to be truthful because I love Torah. So how I present myself, how I present my life, I need to be truthful in that. If it hurts, it hurts, right? So I need to be truthful. It could be hurting. I'll be saying I'm all right. It hurts, right? You know. So if it hurts, it hurts. Let's deal with it, because we can't have false advertisement. Sometimes we present ourselves that we in covenant and you're not keeping the commandments of Yah. That's falsehood. How you going to be in the covenant with him, but you're not keeping the commandments? You're not following his word, right? On that scale that you are able to, right? So where is it at? Do you love Torah? Do you love it? What is it that you really love? And so that is a question for us, even in our hearts, to meditate, even on this week, is okay, who do I really love though? What is it that I really love? Because what you would give your all to is what you love. What you give your all to is what you will love. What you give your all to is what you will love. What you give your all to is what you love. And so that can be in different areas of our life, but ultimately we have to hate it, right? We have to hate those things. Ultimately, we have to do and say what it is. Leviticus chapter 19, verse 11. And it tells us in a do not steal, right? That's something that we can't. Do not lie. Do not lie. Now, these are not suggestions when we walk in the things of the Father, right? Do not deceive one another. So false advertisement is where it comes in. You could get fined or you could get in criminal charges for false advertisement. And so a lot of us would be up on charges if we took this same route of how we present ourselves, right? The truthfulness of it. And so we can't deceive. When you deceive someone, you are presenting that is not you. They don't know you, right? Many times people get married and this ain't the person that I married, right? I was what? Deceived, you know. This ain't the relationship I had. Why is that? What happened? I was deceived, right? Now, all things being equal, it takes a time for relationship. It takes a time for trust. It takes a time to gain that love. It only strengthens. Times only strengthens it. But we cannot deceive one another. So if you're stealing, you're deceiving one another. If you're lying, you're deceiving one another. We can't do that, right? And so I'm just pulling out some of those, but we cannot do this and then walk into the things of the Father and say, here I am, I love him. But we don't do that, right? We don't do that. We have to present ourselves the way that it is. And the more that we can put it on the table and be truthful with one another, then the more that we can do it. We can do it. And there is wisdom. We just come out of wisdom. Well, they just came out of it, but we did a short, very short, minute. We were talking about the wisdom of Yah, right? So in all of this, it takes wisdom now, right? It takes wisdom and understanding on how to present yourself, because you don't present yourself in such a way for so long. It is rooted. It is rooted. And you don't know you. So my question to you, who are you? That think about that. When you lay down, when you rest, when you sit back in your chair, if you sit on the patio, if you in the front yard, or if you driving, who are you? Right? Who are you? Right? Who are you? Who really are you? And only you could know. Only you can know. So we can't be deceiving one another. This is who I am, and this is what it is, right? And we always try to do better. When you're trying to do better, when you're making your goals and doing your things, that's what you are trying to do. But when you deceive somebody, the hamburger is this big, right? And when you get there, it is this big. That's a deception. That's not what it is. I need to see the hamburger this way, and then I have to make a decision whether or not that I want to buy that burger. You do not have to be somebody else for somebody to love you. For you to be somebody's friend, you don't have to be somebody else. You can be you, right? And then you don't have to change yourself for someone else, right? You don't have to do that. You be you. Either they can accept you or they can reject you. And so we will be in a life of acceptance, and we will be in a life of rejection. Those are two roads. Maybe one day we'll do a teaching on that. Those are two roads that we can go down, and we will go down. And you go down those things every day. Other words, it's just a decision that you're making. Do I want water? Or do I want some orange juice? It's a decision. So in order for me to drink water, then I rejected the orange juice. This is all I'm saying. Something simple as that, right? It's just the way of life in that, right? And so the orange juice don't have to present itself like water. If it does, then I'll be drinking. I said, well, this tastes like water, right? It was presented itself like it was water. It just had a maybe a yellowish color. So we have to make sure. I guess is what I'm reaching for is to make sure that we present ourselves the way that we are. That's the way that we need to do, and that life will be so much better. And then sometimes it has to clean up. It has to it may take time for the consequences of me, right, being somebody else. And then you would discover you, and you said, man, I love me, right? I love me. I don't have to be nobody else, but I love me in that. So brother, did you have something else that you want to jump in or ask a question there?
Oh man, I don't want to take away from that last point you just made. I really like that. There was so much. I think coming to that point is awesome. You know, once the mask falls off and you realize all of the makeup fades in that sense, just for the illusion, like you were saying, it's so much better. It's to me, it's a freeing thing because I think, like you said, addressing the falsehood in my life was very freeing. It took some time to
Mm-hmm.
really see what I'm not. It was very refreshing, and I think that it is a good journey because like what you said right here and how it's written right here, do not deceive one another. That always comes off to me as if my desire is to deceive someone else, then I need to be deceived myself.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Mm-hmm.
and that to me that goes straight back to the garden. I think the woman said the serpent deceived me and I ate, but then the
Mm-hmm.
very next thing she did was hand the fruit to her husband. So
And he
I'm
ate.
just thinking in that sense. And then he ate. And then he ate. And that's what gets me. And I don't understand why it is that way. Why it is that way in the sense that in deception or in falsehood, we think things are better, but it's not. It really isn't. Because like you were saying earlier, you got to clean it up. The cleanup is so much harder.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It is so much harder. And I think another thing that came to my mind when you said that was when Yeshua was teaching, and they were talking about how um, they were speaking about multiple things, but he ended up referring it to the inward. So they were thinking like, oh, okay, that they were referring to a cup, cleaning the outside of the cup. It's like you could hand someone a nice vessel and it can look real good, but then when you look inside, you're like, I'm not drinking out of that. And I just think in the sense of deception, it's like we think that the outside is the only part that matters when deception begins in the inward part, but so does
Mm-hmm.
truth. So does all of the goodness, like you were saying before about loving the Torah, loving who the Father made you to be, accepting, your real experiences, and not thinking
Mm-hmm.
that just because we attempted something, I'm now a professional. Embellishment goes a long way, and exaggeration, like what you were saying, and those things to me are still deceptions. So I think everything you were saying right there was 100%, and I'm excited because, like you said, this meditation in this, it's good because we don't. I think realizing if I'm deceived is the beginning of the journey, not who deceived me, because sometimes it's easier to point the finger,
Mm-hmm.
but I think
Mm-hmm.
I need to start with my what I'm deceived in, and I think that that's what you're teaching right here today is okay. If I'm deceived, let me work on that with the Father. Let me get truth in my inward part, and not put deception in somebody else's ear.
Mm-hmm.
So I
Mm-hmm.
really like how you were teaching that just now. So praise God.
Absolutely. Proverbs 16:16, it was said, these matters here that Yahweh, right? These are the things that he hates. And when you see in there, it says seven, right? These are the things that he hates. He hates those proud looks, but I wanted to get down to a lying tongue, right? So if you serving him and we presenting ourselves in a manner that is falsehood, in order for that to happen, then I have to speak. And I was saying earlier, a lying tongue, right? I have to speak that, right? So that is even in there. The lying tongue is something that when I present myself, and yes, like you were saying, my brother, being deceived and then deceiving others. But when I intentionally present myself, and this is where I want to make sure that we connect to, present myself in such a way that becomes a lying tongue. And so that is not good. It's a shameful spot for us to be in when we are presenting ourselves one way. Again, it connects the proud look there, but we presenting ourselves one way. Those things are abomination. And Yah is not pleased with that, right? He's not pleased the way we present ourselves. That's what I'm trying to put that, and it's deeper than that. I'm not talking about, oh, did you break that glass? And no, I didn't break that glass. Okay, that's the basics. I'm getting to how we present ourselves, false advertisement, how how they put it in the newspaper, how they put it on a poster. How do you present yourself? How do you present yourself? Right? Is it under the lying tongue? Is it under that? And so it is not good. It's a matter that is not good. It's abomination to the Most High. So we don't want to present ourselves that way. And if we do, again, it is falsehood. So falsehood are claims and statements that are not true. We have to know that. And false advertisement. You advertise something, and sometimes even in religious systems, a lot of time they have false advertisement. They give you a lot of promises, but none of them are being filled. They present to you a lot of promises, but nothing is being fulfilled. That's false advertisement, right? And so it can cause damage. And in the natural, you're gonna use it's an unlawful practice. Yeah, that's what I want to say. It's fine. So I'm just kind of scheming my notes over here. You can one. I was reading one. You can get up a $10,000 fine, and then whatever authority fees that you have if you get caught. There are legal consequences. So there's a consequences when we have a lying tongue. There are consequences when we present ourselves falsely to others, right? There's a consequences to that, right? We don't want to do that. It's in the same thing of hands shedding innocent blood. That lying tongue is right there in our English presentation here. We have comma. It's all in there. So if you look it up, it's all in there, right? And so we are expressing ourselves sometimes, right? And sometimes we realize that what I'm saying. There have been times that in the middle of my conversation, I had to change it because I did not want to present myself one way, you know. And so I had to tone it down, and most times I tone it down, and that's why I was saying puffery is a word that you puff. You can advertise something like you'll say like, oh, this is and people would know, I got the best wife in the world. I got the best husband in the world. Well, that's you're not deceiving anybody like that. That's a known type thing as, oh, okay, everybody probably would say that, right? In that. But there's different when you falsely advertise something, and so that's when we say one thing and then somehow we do another, or cause someone to believe something about you. I use me having somebody to believe something about me of what I had said, and that's the reason that they believe it, because I said it. If I didn't say it, then they wouldn't believe it. Other words, I had a lying tongue, and it caused them to be deceived in what I have said. And so sometimes I'm going by what you say, right? And then I move on what you say in that. So it's very important, that we slow down, get our thoughts together, and then we can present ourselves in such a way, right? It's very important. It takes practice, and then we have to know that. Let me see here. Uh, so the advertisement, I have some things here as well. Is in the natural, they try to deceive the customer, right? But in that, you can waste your money, right? You can waste your time. You can waste a lot of things, even in the natural, when they mislead you using tactics, right? And tactics are used in marketing. So I'm going back to how you marketing yourself, right? Some of us are marketing ourselves when we shouldn't market ourselves, because when you do that, you have to present it in a certain way and in a certain manner, right? In that. And I'm talking about the falsehood. We should be, look nice and all that. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about when we legally try to do those things, right? Okay. I want to make sure before we wrap it up here that so it is important, right, that we continue to build with one another. It's important that we do that. Make sure that how we present ourselves lines up with the things of the Father. And if we do that, then it'll line up with you, right? So if I'm not lying, if I'm doing those things, I'm practicing those things, then when I come to you, it'll be what I am, right? It'll be what I am. So, all right, brother. Did you have some closing thoughts there?
Well, there's just so much that comes to my mind, especially with what you said. But I think this one right here in particular is one of my wife's favorite. I think I've heard it like a million times. So speaking of this particular verse, but yes, sir, I like how you explained it. How these things are tied together. This like one is just as bad as the other. So it's like we can't say that one, like these matters are the only, the most abominable thing. Well, lying is just as bad, just as evil or wrong, I should
Mm-hmm.
say, as taking the life from someone who didn't deserve to die. So that's on a whole nother level right there.
Oh, absolutely.
But I can
Uh,
speak on what you said about people. coming out of a severe level of naivety. So when people would say things, some people just go on what is said. You know, I think I was told 1 out of 100 is actually going to research a matter, but a lot of people are just going to go on what is said. So what you said on there about leading people to believe something that's untrue, especially when they say it about themselves, that means something to me now. Before it didn't. You know, somebody could they could cause me, you know, like, hey, Sid, you need to go do this. It's going to save you a lot of money, and I go do it, and I get no benefit from it at all. And they may tell me to do something else, and I may listen to them again. Like those days are over, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But at one point in time, that was my reality. You know, I thought, you know, everybody who had certain levels of advice, you know, that it was worth listening to. But now, like with what you said, it's like I need to see it in their life first. You know, this isn't an embellishment like what you're saying. They're stretching it. You know, what I've learned, especially coming into the instruction of the Father, someone has to be doing what they advise you to do. And a person who is under a false advertisement, or a person who's just presenting himself false or has a lying tongue, they're going to claim things that actually they have no experience in,
Mm-hmm.
or say
Mm-hmm.
things that they can't really back up. And I understand those things can have levels to them. Some are more severe than others. But I really think what was on my mind is you just did a teaching out of Jude, and it talked about clouds without water. And it's like sometimes you're expecting something good to come, but it doesn't come.
Mm-hmm.
And I think
Mm-hmm.
people portray themselves one way, and they cause you to believe things or give the illusion of things that are not true. It does a lot of damage. And I think the beauty of it is like the Most High leads us to places of truth, not falseness. So if I find falseness in this matter, why would I say the Master led me there? So when you said that about the lying tongue, I just feel like like you said, it can go so many different ways. But I really believe, you know, like you could put it down, you could put off lying, you know, and put off these matters to which the Master hates, because you know the opposite is just as awesome, you know, in the sense of it's refreshing for us to be a people who have the truth on our lips, you know. And like you said, you don't have we can get it right so that we're not cleaning it up at the end of our conversation. You know, I don't want to be a mirage and, you know, appear to be something one way, and then you get closer and I'm actually not.
Mm-hmm.
So I,
Mm-hmm.
I just really like what you said there.
Absolutely. And man, you you spurred a couple of more things there. But we when we started out, we talking false advertisement. And I like the way that you put that, because you can advertise, but when you do, when that burger is this big, when I go to go get it, it needs to be this big, right? So whatever you can advertise truthfully, so, other words, you could present yourself truthfully, you know, buy three get one free, you know, that type of thing. So when I go down there, it says in the ad here, buy, you know, three get one free, right? So you advertise. So if I say that I love the Father, that's what I'm advertising. If I say that I want to give my whole heart to Him, that's what I'm advertising. If I say that I want to be your husband, that's what I'm advertising. If I say I want to be your wife, that's what I'm advertising, right? If I say that I want to work at your job, that's what I'm advertising. You know, if I say that I'm coming to help you clean up, that's what I'm advertising. You
Oh
understand?
yes,
So
yes.
you will advertise. We're just using this word where we could connect to it, something that we do every day. But we will get upset when it is false advertisement. We will. We'll take people to court. We'll be upset. You told me this car would get 100 miles per gallon, and I only getting 50, right? We get upset when the salesman told us one thing and we bought it and it was something else, right? So when you advertise and when I buy what you say, right? When I buy what you say, in other words, I take it in, right? And then it is not so, it is false advertisement, right? And so when we present ourselves, let's present our the way that we advertise is the way that we should be, in that, you know. And so most of us, if you have a disclaimer, sometimes they advertise something real big, but they got a disclaimer. And a lot of times I don't know people's disclaimer. I know the big advertisement, but no, I didn't read the fine print. I didn't know you had a fine print, right? And so you still have to, even though the fine print is there, and it's always smaller. It's and that's the same thing with when you seek in the things of Torah. If you allow me to say, it's there. You know, and so but you have to seek it. You have to seek it. Look, I think my brother left me. You you had to seek it there. I think he fell out. But praise Yah. I was getting ready to wrap this up too as well. I think I covered most of the notes, and hopefully those of you that are still with us, appreciate you so very much. I hope it will come across in such a way. Oh, I think my brother made it back here. In
Thank you.
that.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah. You made it back. So I hope I was saying, brother, I was gonna wrap it up anyway. I know you thought I was already through. So there was a cloak when you did that. You say, okay, no, I just teasing. But just remember, what I was saying, my brother, is my whole this heartfelt power up. The power up moment is you can be you. That's what I understand. You don't have to be
Awesome.
nobody else, but you can be you. But whatever you advertise, follow through. That's what all I'm saying. If you advertising something, follow through. Okay, and you will be in the things of the Father. So what the Father tells us to do, of course, we follow through, right? So that's all I'm saying. Don't let it be false advertisement. But once you go through, right, advertise and then back it up. It's sort of like back your word up, right? And of course the scriptures tell us how to operate and how to flow with one another and how to community and how those things work, how judgments work, how all of those things work and how they come together. And so I just wanted to hopefully that is a power up moment in the sense of I just in my heart I just feel that whoever would listen to this, that somehow they would understand you can be you. You can be you, and you can start. And I think you had mentioned something about sometimes it take a while to, if you collected some falsehoods, right? It may take a while for you to readjust, but the length of readjustment is up to you and the Most High, right? But you can start today, right? You can start today. You can start today. You can start meditating today. Whenever you look at this, listen to this, and those of you are there, meditate on that, who you really are, and then if you advertise something, who do you want people to know that you who you are? Your advertisement should follow through. That's all I wanted to say. I know I said it several times, but hopefully that was an encouragement. Well, my brother, we're gonna go ahead and land this plane and give a shout out to everyone that still there, still here with us, and in that. So we're going to see who's the first one to give us a thumbs up. I know we have a delay. We have a delay sometime, but I'm gonna see who the winner go. Who could be quickly in that, my brother. So thank you, brother, for hanging in there. I know that you had some aching going on, but you got through it. You didn't pass out. I think you was trying to leave me once, but you still.
Oh, I didn't think you were
You
gonna figure that out.
yeah. You still here.
Praise God. Yes, sir.
Yeah.
God's good.
Yeah, yes he is. Yes he is. So I was just waiting on the thumbs up or the something to wave or the shalom, and we're going to see most times that those of you may look at this later, you can't see. That's when I try to put up the those that are in. There it is. We got.
Who's the
Oh,
winner?
there it is.
Oh, Mama G.
Sister Gwen
All
came right
right.
behind. Okay,
Sister
all right,
Gwen.
yeah, yeah, all
All
right.
right.
All of them are
That's
winners. It looked like they had some some good
you
some good
just said the exact
advertisement.
opposite. I was about to say there's only two winners. That's it.
Praise
That's
Yah.
good.
Well, that's good. Thank all of you, and shalom to the whole house of Israel.
Shalom.
All right. Well, Sister K, I got your message. I know you wanted a thumbs up, and you don't know how to do it on YouTube. It's all right. It's all right.